you can only focus on one thing, either a fleet of your own or the customer. Basically, it's just like an Uber model. I am an Uber or an Ola. I have this trip available from my side, and I give it to many vehicle owners. They can be owners, drivers, or whatever, and then they get in touch and they just accept that ride, and then they go to the destination. Similarly, I have nothing. I don't have a truck. I don't have the driver. I don't have the fuel cost also. I just pay them money, and then they go for the onward journey. I'm doing this. There are more fleet owners. The fleet is available in ample numbers, but the logistics service providers of our category and of our stature is a limited number. So from the smallest pin to the largest vessel, so from 1 metric ton to 250 metric tons, whatever has to be moved in that project is floated to us as an RFQ, reference for quotation. From the customer's end, and we quote our best competitive prices. So we just put a banner or a sticker or whatever sort of marketing tools available on the truck, so that from the first hindsight it looks like Premier Roadlines Ltd is the owner and the supplier.
Good marketing.
Yes.
Hi everyone, today we are at Premier Roadlines Ltd in Delhi. As the name suggests, the company is in logistics sector. I personally feel that we often underlook this sector, but this is backbone of any economy. We have with us Samin Gupta, who is whole-time director and CFO at Premier Roadlines Ltd to break down this industry and sector. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Pleasure having you.
Samin, you are second generation entrepreneur, and you are probably the youngest promoter that we are interviewing. If I talk about your educational background, you have done your graduation from Christ and then went for masters to University of Warwick. So how has the journey been for you? Why did you join family business? Tell us everything about yourself.
It's been a fantastic journey. So I'm the third generation, honestly. My grandfather started this organization, and then me and my father currently are actively involved in the day-to-day operations and scaling the company to greater heights. Talking about the educational background, so yes, I've done my BBA from Christ and Masters from UK in the same industry. So, coming into this family business was a day one choice from my side, being the family business and me being passionate about logistics. So, chose this path and enjoying it till now.
You recently made a debut on the exchanges.
Yes.
We congratulate you on making a debut on the exchanges. So how was the feeling in the family when the IPO finally came in?
It's a milestone for, I would believe, any promoter or any family as such to see your company on the public platform, and to see investors and to see a extended family, support your business in terms of investing in it. So definitely a great sense of achievement for my father, because he's been the most hardworking person in this organization, and he's the man behind the success where it is. So I'm the third generation, so it's going to take some time for me too.
So you are a CFO, and was the idea of joining family business ingrained in you since childhood, because you have done your masters and then directly you are serving as a CFO? So was it like that?
Yeah. So
and if I talk about your career, it's very aligned in terms of the industry you're working in, and you have done your masters in supply chain management.
Correct. So I was honestly very much inclined to join my family business, because like I said, I grew up hearing about logistics, trucks, transportation from point A to point B. So early on my I would say my high school years, I was kind of inclined, and I knew that this is what I have to do. So things aligned that way, that I'll be doing my bachelor's in say finance, because being in a Indian family, you're supposed to have financial knowledge. So I did finance.
And you are a Gupta.
Yes, absolutely.
That's a plus point.
Yes. So finance, and then of course to get more insights about this industry and about how global supply chain works. So I chose that course of Masters in Supply Chain and Logistics Management from a very reputed college, University of Warwick in UK, and here I am.
So since this is a very personal question, but I would like to ask that. So you have done your masters from University of Warwick. Has the education that was provided there really helped you in the business that you're doing today?
See, there's a day and night difference between what was taught and what actually happens in India, because what has been taught is as per the developed nations and as per say the logistics and sort of international standards and the availability of resources over there. But we are getting there. I would say India is slowly and gradually getting there in terms of our customers are way ahead of what resources we are having, and they are following the Western standards. So if you ask me how it has helped me, it has helped me to cater to the customers which are following the standards of international bodies. So that way it has added value to my existence here in Premier Roadlines. But there is, I would say, a long way to go once we enter into the international markets. So I'll be able to put to use what I've learned more in that way.
So, Samin, coming to the company, let's talk about the basics. My first question would be, why do even big companies, I believe your clientele is like Tata, big companies like this.
Yes.
So, why do big companies even avail logistics service? They are huge and can easily have a department of their own. Or they can directly contact the fleet owners and place their orders. So, where do you as a company fit into this equation?
See, these companies are huge, and we serve to only marquee clients, and they do have a logistics department, but the logistics department is not supposed to directly talk to small fleet owners and engage vehicles and then get their job done. So this is a very unorganized and fragmented industry currently where we are sitting at, the Indian logistics industry. So I don't have an exact number, but the majority of the fleet available and the trucks available on the road are from, say, small fleet owners and 1 or 2 vehicle owners.
Okay.
So it is impossible for a company like Tata, or be it any big company, to directly get in touch with them, a 1 or a 2 vehicle owner, and solve their needs. So they do need a player like us, which can organize and consolidate the market and provide a solution that, if you need a vehicle today, so we can hire from the open market and we can give it to you.
So you connect two parties.
Yes. So we are acting like a mediator, that we are organizing the unorganized and highly unorganized. So when a vehicle reports at a Tata warehouse, or say at any good company's warehouse or their facility or a factory, so there are multiple points of checklists that needs to be followed. It is not just that we hire a vehicle and we send it to the facility. So that is the value addition we are doing, and that is the Western standards these companies are following, which we need to adhere to. So that is where the need of a professional logistics service provider arises.
But there are a lot of logistics service providers in India. How do companies like Reliance or Tata choose their best service provider? On what basis? Is cost the only differentiating factor?
See, there are many. Logistics is a huge term. It's a very broad term and aspect. There are many segments in logistics. There are many services in logistics. There are many truck types in logistics. So each company, like Reliance you named, and maybe say Tata, they have different divisions. They also manufacture FMCG items. They also do industrial goods, and they also do many other verticals. So for each verticals, there is definitely a sector leader, I would say, in that vertical, and it is very easy to identify those. Whoever has the highest amount of legacy, highest amount of infrastructure in terms of their key account managers, in terms of their personnel available at a call away, and how organized they are. So it's quite easily identifiable for any.
In a nutshell, it highly depends on the products that they want to deliver.
Yes, and it's not a tough job for any company to identify, that these are the best set of vendors we have, and these are financially good, these are trustworthy, and these are reliable, and they've been in the market for a few years, few decades, honestly. So that kind of adds value, and it's an easy job for the customers to decide a bet.
Have you worked with any of the government companies?
No, we do not work with any of the government companies.
Or do you plan to?
No, we don't plan to work with government companies.
Okay. So, as you said, you are a third-party provider. So, you do not have a fleet of your own. So, I would like you to explain what is the difference between asset-light model and asset-heavy model, and where do you fall in the segment?
Understood. So we are an asset-light model company. We are since the day of inception, my grandfather, he has always been asset-light, and he has always been wanting to be a mediator and organize the unorganized industry. So currently, I'll explain in a nutshell what we are doing, and then what other people are doing, and how asset-heavy and asset-light is a difference.
Yes.
So asset-light, so basically we have this platform of ours which is controlled by an ERP system. And if, for example, if you want a vehicle which needs to be moved from Delhi to Bombay, I can give you, I have the data of more than lakhs of vehicle owners and small fleet owners who are associated with me. They are not on a regular monthly payment terms from my side, but they are associated with me, that I have their numbers and datas and their email IDs on my database. I shoot them a message through an ERP system, a WhatsApp message and a call, that hey, I have this load available for Delhi to Bombay. Will you be ready to provide your vehicle for this or not?
Okay.
So if that person or that vehicle owner decides to say yes, I am available at this rate, so yes, we engage that vehicle and we start the journey onwards. But on the flip side, in an asset heavy model, you are just focused on your own vehicle, and you are just focusing that if your vehicle is available at Delhi or your vehicle is available at Bombay, only then you will be able to do this journey. Flexibility is a
very big
issue in terms of asset heavy versus asset light. And one thing that my grandfather has taught me, you can only focus on one thing, either a fleet of your own or the customer. What would you choose, a customer or a fleet? If you want to make a fleet and be an asset heavy model, it takes a lot of toll in terms of managing the fleet, the driver issues, the diesel issues, the increasing toll charges, increasing infrastructure expenses. A lot of thing goes behind to manage your fleet. But whereas when you're an asset light business, you can focus on making the customer more satisfied, invest your time in the customer, and solve
so it's
the customer's
more of
problem.
customer oriented.
Yes. So as I personally believe asset right is the best term to be at.
Yeah.
Not light and right, heavy, sorry. So being asset right, what I'm trying to say here is that I should have only the specialized fleet available with me at any given point. And if any customer has a very specific requirement of say any sort of vehicle, I should be having that of my own, just so that the quality standards of the service standards are maintained, and the customer should have confidence that I have something of my own to also perform. So there has to be a right mix, and I would still be more focused to be an asset light model going forward as well.
Okay, so you do not plan to
Not at all.
Okay, got it. So I was going through your investor presentation, and I believe your average order value is around 80,000, since you're in asset light model of business. So what percentage of this 80,000 is your rental equipment cost, like rental vehicle cost?
See, rental, what I understood from your rental term is that what percentage
Charges
and what charges I'm paying to the supplier and the vehicle owner, right? So that is...
sorry to interrupt. The driver will be yours, right?
No, the driver will be the vehicle owners.
Okay.
So I am basically, it's just like an Uber model. I am an Uber on Ola. I have this trip available from my side, and I give it to many vehicle owners. They can be owners, drivers, or whatever, and then they get in touch and they just accept that ride, and then they go to the destination. So similarly, I have nothing. I don't have a truck. I don't have the driver. I don't have the fuel cost also. I just pay them money, and then they go for the onward journey. I'm doing this. So in terms of average revenue per order, 80,000 rupees, yes, that's approximately the number, and you can just deduct the markup of say on an average 10 to 12% or 15%. That is what I pay to the vendor.
But isn't this markup cost, the hiring cost, constitute a large percentage of your expenses, like almost 70 to 80%?
Yes, absolutely, because I am...
so there's a gap now. You are saying 15%, but it's actually 70 to 80%. So how is
there average revenue per... You're asking about the average revenue per order, right? So if I get 80,000 from the customer, I am paying to the vehicle owner and the vendor approximately say 68,000 or 70,000. Yeah. And I'm taking the rest as my own profits.
12,000 is your...
yes, is my markup and is my profit.
Got it.
Yes.
Cool.
In a general logistics industry, in the general logistics and contracted logistics.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there must be a lot of logistic service providers, but I believe there are not a lot of fleet providers. So do you lock in a contract where, so to break down the question, let's say I have a truck of my own and I am associated with you. A client of yours need my truck, but I must be associated with many other logistic service providers. So is there any contract between us that I am obliged to serve to you and not them?
See, if you're a truck owner, you would obviously want to work with the best available.
Yes, like a driver, they are associated with Uber, Ola, and Rapido.
So yeah, to just because people would understand these companies much better, Uber, Ola, Rapido. So say if I am a owner of a Swift Desire, and if I want to say work in either Uber or Ola, I would definitely work with Uber or Ola, one of the two, whoever is having the best behavior. whoever is having the best payment terms, whoever is having the best sort of work availability.
Okay.
I cannot be sitting at just Ola and having no rides at all. I would
Got
rather
it.
switch I would rather go to Uber, where there are multiple rides happening daily, and I have more options to choose from. So that's where a customer, and that's where the owner of a vehicle will decide which logistics service provider to work for. There's a clear differentiation. There are more fleet owners. The fleet is available in ample numbers, but the logistics service providers of our category and of our stature is a limited number. So the fleet owners are there, and we have to pick and choose who works for us. And they all want to work with companies who are good paymasters, who have a good reputation, and who they know that they always have some work in hand.
Okay.
Because if we have work in hand, they will also have work in hand.
Got it. So you deal with vehicles ranging from 1 metric ton to 250 metric ton.
Correct.
So these terms might be very difficult for viewers to understand. Can you explain what is this metric ton and how do you differentiate between these vehicles? What is the maximum range of the vehicles that a company can work in? Things like that.
Yeah. So we were at the sort of vehicle availability we have from 1 metric ton to 250 metric tons. So from 1 metric ton to 30 metric tons is what you see on the road, which has, say, the cargo is not over-dimensional. The cargo can fit in that particular container and can safely ply on the road. Whatever above that is supposed to be moved on a hydraulic axle trailer, and which is the one which we have purchased from the issue proceeds as well. And that goes up to, say, 500 tons, 1,000 tons also, as per Indian standards and as per what Indian movements, as per the movements happening in India currently. But we have capping, and we have capped ourselves and stopped ourselves at the moment till 250 metric tons, because we believe it's easy. It's sort of better to go step by step and not directly jump into bigger vessels and on anything above 250 metric tons at the moment.
And on what basis is the cost decided?
See, the cost is simple.
Is it like there are two terms, right? It's one is volumetric and then is weight based. If we talk about simple courier services.
Yes.
So how is it in your industry?
See, it's per vehicle wise. It is in simple terms. If I tell you, see, I think I should put it out first that we haven't mentioned it. We are having 4 services. One is contracted integrated logistics.
Yes, my next question was if you can break down the segments.
It will make it easy for me to answer this question if I tell the segment first. Okay. So contracted integrated logistics services, general cargo, and then there's project logistics, and then there's over-dimensional cargo. So I'll talk about contracted and general logistics first. So contracted and general logistics is something which you see on the road, smaller consignments, smaller cargo. General logistics is out of say contracts. It is just spot biddings. Like you come to me, L&T comes to me and tells me that I have to move these 10 vehicles tomorrow. You please give me a quote and you please take this order. Or maybe any renewable energy player comes to me and they tell us that we have this 50 vehicle order tomorrow. Please come and execute this order for us. So that's general logistics. Contracted is that when a renewable energy company or say any infrastructural company, they want to enter into a contract for a year or a two, that we have these many fixed locations. You need to fix a rate and we will engage you as a logistics service partner for 1 year or 2 years or even 3 years somewhere, and we provide them services throughout the year. Talking about over-dimensional cargo and project logistics. So project logistics is something that involves moving and executing an entire project. So from the smallest pin to the largest vessel, so from 1 metric ton to 250 metric tons, whatever has to be moved in that project is floated to us as an RFQ, reference for quotation, from the customer's end, and we quote our best competitive prices, and then there's a round of negotiations, then there is a round of quality checks what we will be having.
The cost that they the cost that you give them is based on the entire project, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Like if the contract is for 2 years, if the project is for 2 years, so 2 years ki puri cost included.
Correct. So how do we give the cost, and how do we derive with the cost? So we have a proper database of vendors, and we know the market cost which is happening and what is the market cost looking like. So it is per vehicle always. It is not per ton, not per it's not volumetric, it's not per kg, nothing like that. It is mostly, in most cases, 99% cases, it's per vehicle. That there's this one vehicle type which we will place for this particular load, and for this we will be charging X amount. So we take the costing from a vendor, or we have a database which we have a costing available. We add a markup and we quote to the customer. So this is how we quote and how the costing is derived.
Okay. So let's say, to understand the process better, let's say I am a client in Kerala and I want Premier Roadlines services to I am a, let's say, turbine manufacturer. I want you to supply those turbines from Kerala to Jammu. How will the entire process take place? I'll contact you, you'll give me the quotation, and after that what?
See, you're talking about Kerala, so I do have a branch there as well. A branch will be there. You will be definitely in touch with a key account manager, where he will be just taking care of your account if you're a regular vendor and if we choose to work with you. So you will be in touch with him. He will be telling you, you will be telling your requirements to the key account manager. The key account manager will be having sort of rates available for that station already. He will cross check with the market. How will he cross check? We have our database, in-house database available, and our ERP available, and also traffic managers available, which do check the cost, that this is the cost, and he will then add a markup according to the service type. If it is a project logistics or if it is a over-dimensional cargo, definitely the markup will be higher because the complexity is higher. And if it's a normal cargo, then the margins and the markup will be lower, and then he will quote to the customer. The customer will then accept it, and then the execution will start.
Okay. So there, if I talk about the geographical area, you must encounter hilly area, coastal area. So is the plan smooth, like the way you move the goods?
Yes, it's all predetermined. The route
Because
is
the wind energy is usually on the hilltops and
yes.
okay.
Yes. So it is all predetermined. So before quoting the prices, before entering into that particular RFQ also, the route and the feasibility is well done and well understood of. Only then the customer is engaged, and only then the process is initiated.
What is the revenue contribution from each segment?
So,
and which segment contributes the most to your profit margins?
So last year, I'll just give you, because the last year data is available in the entire annual data is available. So 60% was project and ODC combined, and roughly 40% was general and contracted integrated logistics, and the margins are much better off in project and ODC.
Okay.
So we are more happy to do that work other than doing general logistics.
Okay. Right now, 40% of your revenue comes from general logistics. Yes. And what do you mean by general logistics? What type of goods do you supply in this segment?
See, we supply goods which is not perishable, which is not FMCG, which is only industrial goods. So you can say solar panels are there. You can say any sort of accessories of over-dimensional cargo equipments that are going on the road. It is there in that way. We are not transporting steel. We are not transporting any commodity in that way. Okay. We are transporting equipments which are required to, which is an industrial equipment, I would say.
Isn't this segment very competitive in terms of cost? If I am your client and it's just general logistic service that I need from you, if tomorrow there comes another player who provides me a better cost, so it'll be easier for me to switch.
See, here's the catch. So it totally depends on the customer. Okay. So you see the number of customers over the past few years, it is on the downward trend that we are serving, and we want to continue that. We want to continue serving less customers who value our services and who have an entry barrier. So once there's an entry barrier, it is unsaid that players like us will be the ones competing, and they will be having some sort of same level playing ground, and same costs involved, same rates, and it will be judged, and the services won't only be judged on commercials, but also be judged on the sort of service levels we have, the legacy we have, and the technology we are giving. We are following ESG norms. We are doing GPS tracking. We are doing anything which is demanded by the customer. Okay. So that's exactly where we have an edge, and it's not only the commercial part which the customer is looking at. So if you're a big customer, you will definitely not only look at the commercial, you will also look at all the other aspects. So that's
okay. One of your segments is also project logistics service, where you handle the project end to end. So can you explain a little about it, like planning, dispatching?
See, it is. I would say project logistics is the most interesting job because it's highly profitable, first of all, and second of all, it is you're always on the job. There's a proper projects team which is on the job, and there always is a new challenge that this was not planned for. This is something new. This is a new requirement of the customer.
Have you ever encountered anything like that?
It keeps on happening. It keeps on happening. Yeah. So logistics, the reason why I'm so inclined and I'm passionate about logistics, because every day there's a new challenge. It's not something that we are moving, and it's not a commoditized business. So it's every day there's a new challenge coming up. Yeah, so coming back to project logistics. So project logistics planning happens way in advance. So it's a 6 months or an 8 month long process to even finalize a project, to even start bidding for that project or start participating for that project. So a lot goes into that, a lot of costings, a lot of route surveys, a lot of feasibility studies. A proper gypsy and a proper team first goes to that site from the point A to point B to understand that what sort of challenges are there on the route. Then takes the costings, takes various helps from advisors and various helps from industry professionals who've already done that maybe 10 years back or 20 years back, and then the rate is given, feasibility is done, and once the execution starts, it is they have given us a lump sum price and they have given us the recommended vehicle types.
Okay.
It is our job how to execute the same under that lump sum price and get some good margins out of it, and also do it safely.
Okay,
So
the
this is
entire cost,
Yes.
revenue, profit burden is on you.
Yes.
You're just handle a budget and you
Yes.
have to work
So
within that
we
budget.
give them a budget. We first make our own budget that
Hmm.
these costs may be arising for the entire project. We give the same to the customer. The customer then does they do their negotiation, they do their vendor check and everything. They allot the project to us. Then it's upon us how do we want to execute it.
Got it. So this industry is very cyclical, meaning it is heavily dependent on how other sectors in the economy perform. And I think the main cost that you must be bearing is fuel cost. So how do you mitigate the risk of that? One question. Second, are you seeing a transition to CNG? Are CNG vehicles as compatible as petrol and diesel vehicles are?
See, first of all, I'm not bearing any fuel cost because I am an asset light company and I'm an intermediary. So my supplier is bearing this fuel cost, and if he has a
Got
burden
it.
of fuel cost, वो मेरे को rate बढ़ा के दे देगा, वो मेरे को costing बढ़ा के देगा, and I will be charging the same to the customer. So I am not here bearing any additional costs by any external body.
Again, Uber, Ola.
Exactly. तो आपका fuel cost बढ़ रहा है, वो supplier की गलती भी है, मतलब he has to take care of it, and he's charging for it. I mean, if he's charging, say, Delhi to Bombay 100 rupees, and there's a fuel inflation, he'll charge me 105 rupees, and I'll charge the customer 130 rupees according to him. I'll also charge the customer more. So fuel cost is something that is not dependent on me, and I am not affected because of fuel cost. Talking about alternative fuel availability, EV vehicles is definitely something that we have already explored options, and very soon, maybe in the next month, we will be buying a few EV vehicles also.
Of your own?
Of our own. Okay. For a very good customer of ours, they require for their internal factory movements. So just adding to their carbon footprint and adding to their ESG norms, compliances, whatever they're having of their own. So we are as a responsible vendor and also as a contribution to the environment, we are purchasing a few EV vehicles and we are supplying to them. But I personally believe it's a long journey to fully switch to CNG or EV or any other alternate fuel vehicles, because especially in over-dimensional cargo and project logistics, these sort of equipments that move, they require a lot of torque and they require a lot of say power, which can only be generated through a diesel engine.
Yeah.
So that sort of availability from a battery powered truck is, I mean, of course there is more torque also in that particular EV vehicle, but as I said, 250 tons, if you're pulling a 250 ton equipment, the frequent charging stations that the frequent charging stops that you may require will be a pain for any service provider. Yeah. So it's a long way, a long journey.
Got it. Anyways, you're not bearing the fuel cost, so that is not your burden to handle. You acquired a wholly owned subsidiary, right? Which was it?
It was PRL Supply Chain Solutions.
What plans do you, I think you intend to go into international sector, international markets via that, via ocean air freight. So what are your plans for that?
So PRL Supply Chain, so PRL is Premier Roadlines Ltd and Supply Chain Solutions. So we have acquired this company to enter into international markets.
It was owned by you only?
Yes, it was owned by us earlier.
Now it comes under the umbrella organization of Premier Roadline Logistics.
Yes, it comes under the umbrella organization of Premier Roadlines, and it's a 7-year-old company which we've owned. And it was back then when my father's vision that we should enter into international markets, but maybe because he was sort of alone in terms of not having a helping hand and not having to take care of multiple things at once. So that it took time, and with me settling in, so this is the right time as we have some surplus funds as well, and we have the support of the capital markets.
you have recently acquired a wholly owned subsidiary, right? PRL Supply Chain. So tell us something about that. You plan to, I think you plan to get into international markets, air freight, ocean freight. So what are your plans for that?
So PL Supply Chain Solutions is a 7-year-old organization, and which my father had a vision of starting back then. And we believe this is the right time to kickstart the operations in PL Supply Chain and enter into international markets, because we believe we are ready to do that, and we have the support of the industry. The customers are supporting us, the capital market is supporting us, and this is the right time to enter. So we will be doing ocean freight, air freight, and warehousing. So because we are based in Delhi, and there's a new upcoming airport coming in Jewar, so we might enter into some agreements at the Jewar airport as well to do some warehousing activities from that company. So we are very positive about it.
Okay. Do you think there are no entry barriers when it comes to shipping via air freight or ocean freight? Because I believe there are already a lot of players that are working in this industry. So how do you plan to establish your market share?
See, honestly, there are companies available in, say, freight forwarding, which is air freight, sea freight, or ocean freight. I mean, air freight, sea freight, and warehousing, and road transport, which we're doing. There are both sort of customers available and companies available, where there's an entry barrier and when there's no entry barrier. So it solely depends on the promoter and the management who they want to work with. Want to work with companies with an entry barrier or not. So we believe that since we are already registered in many of these big companies where there's an entry barrier, with Premier Roadlines Ltd, it will be an easier task for us to also pass on the same vendor code to PL Supply Chain Solutions and to kickstart the operations in PL Supply Chain.
Okay. Will you be incurring any capital expenditure for the same?
No, we want to keep it asset light, and there are no capital expenditure planned for PRL Supply Chain Solutions.
So you do not plan to, you do not intend to raise any debt or any capital for this?
As of now, nothing.
Okay. So, okay, you have recently forayed into defense. When I talk about defense, defense has become a very fancy term. Like every company wants to be associated with the term in one way or the other. So there was this company that we were researching on. They were just supplying tissues to the defense company, and they were saying, "Okay, we have forayed into defense." So what exactly are you doing in this?
See, like I mentioned earlier in the interview, we don't directly work with any government organization, and defense being one of them. So we're not directly in touch with the government in terms of direct defense orders. But it is just that I can only give you some basic information of what we're doing. So to summarize, so we are transporting some critical equipments for the defense industry, and these are big equipments which are supposed to be moved on hydraulic axle trailers and pullers, and they require a lot of secrecy in terms of not giving out much more information, and maintaining that sort of confidentiality, that where it is going and where is who is the end user and what the machine is capable of doing.
So I cannot comment the product.
I cannot comment on the product type, but it is something which is say 80 tons in weight. So you can imagine it is a huge piece of equipment.
Okay.
So that's the only information I can give out for that.
On the sidelines, when I'm not only talking about the defense order, but when you, let's say, deliver a very big equipment, is it broken down into pieces, or do you deliver it in like one whole piece? So how does this thing work?
See, it depends on the nature of the cargo. If it can be broken down, then it will definitely be moved in a smaller vehicle.
Will it be your team's responsibility to put it back?
Okay. My team responsibility is nothing except accepting the vehicle.
Okay.
Accepting the terms of the customer. If the customer tells me I have to place a 40 feet trailer from point A to point B, I will place it, I will manage it, I will ensure safety, and I will deliver it. My responsibility ends there. If the customer asks me to break down that equipment and transport it into smaller vehicles, he will break it down, he will send it to me, he will tell me the requirement, I will place the vehicle as per his requirement and then deliver it. So it is not that
your responsibility is only taking goods from one place to the other, and
as per the customer's requirement. Yes, I cannot put my mind to it, that I can do this and do that, and I cannot do anything unless it's a project logistics. In project logistics, they give me a lump sum price and I decide what to do.
Coming back to defense, do you plan to get more orders in this segment?
Yes, of course. So this is a sector which has a very high entry barrier, and to get into this sector and to deal with the customers which are supplying to defense industry is a tedious job, and it's not everybody's
Cup of tea.
cup of tea.
Hmm.
So definitely this is profitable and more profitable than any other business. So we are actively looking for more defense related orders.
So, as it is true for construction companies, first half of the year is usually slow for these companies, and that is true for you too. So, how do you mitigate this risk?
See, first half we are doing general logistics and
Mm.
contracted logistics. So in the contracted logistics, we have roughly 100 to 150 crores of contract for the year already set up. And general logistics is something that happens throughout the year, because small items and small trucks can move even in the rainy conditions. It is just that the project logistics and over-dimensional cargo movements are slightly slow in the first half, because the manufacturing is slow. It's a big value chain. It's from the value chain that we are the last in this chain. So we are focusing more on general logistics and contracted logistics in the first half. So that's how we sort of mitigate our risk.
Mitigate. Okay. Let's say there is an unforeseen situation which delayed your delivery.
Yes,
So, who bears the cost?
the supplier bears the cost.
Okay.
Yeah.
The client. You
No,
mean.
my vendor. So
Okay.
if I'm getting simple terms में, अगर मेरे को कुछ debit आ रहा है customer से, I debit the supplier, the owner of the vehicle.
उसने जितना कोट किया आपने
Yes.
उसको सप्लाई कर दिया, अब उसको
Correct.
मैनेज करना है 80. अब
Absolutely.
80,000 में से लेट्स से 80,000 का ऑर्डर है आपके पास, 70,000 वेंडर हैज कोटेड, ठीक है, बाकी आपका मार्जिन जो भी है,
Correct.
70,000 में उसी को मैनेज करना है,
Correct.
डिले का, इसका, फ्यूल का, जो भी उसकी
सब
कॉस्ट है.
कुछ उसका है. अब डिले हुआ, कस्टमर ने मुझे कुछ
So
डेबिट
you are
किया.
just connecting two parties,
Yes.
earning your margin and then getting out of it.
That's it. Simple terms.
Got it.
And also adding value in terms of their requirements of the customer, ESG requirements, safety requirements, or end list of requirements. It is not a small list. To choose the right vendor, to choose the right vehicle is also an art.
Yeah. True.
Because you cannot आप आज के डेट में अगर आपको टाटा की फैक्ट्री में जाना है, अगर आपकी विंडशील्ड में छोटा सा भी क्रैक है, आप एंटर नहीं कर सकते. तो हमें गाड़ी ढूंढनी है जिसकी विंडशील्ड में क्रैक भी नहीं है.
ठीक
आप
है.
कहाँ से ढूंढोगे वो गाड़ी? सारी गाड़ी की विंडशील्ड क्रैक होती है आजकल, तो हाईवे पे चलती है. तो
हाँ जी, हाँ जी.
that is a big job, big task.
The startup culture of India is booming. We see a lot of startups coming up, especially in this segment. So we have startups like Borzo, Porter, and there's something called Wheels Eye. So what makes Premier Roadlines different from these startups?
So the three companies that you named, they are not competing against Premier Roadlines Limited, and they are not providing services which Premier Roadlines Limited is providing. They're not even catering to the customers which Premier Roadlines Limited serves. So we are a project logistics and over-dimensional cargo logistics service provider, having a legacy of 4 decades now, and the customers trust us, and the customers believe in our services, and we have a track record of providing good services. So, and there's no competition, and there's no even you can't take 4 names together as well, because they are servicing directly to the customer, like you and me, to the consumer. They're not B2B as of now. Wheels, I think, is doing B2B, but not exactly what we are doing. So, and I don't think, I believe this business, what we are running, as a young entrepreneur myself, I believe this is startup proof. No startup can come tomorrow and raise XYZ amount of money and come and try to disrupt this market, because you require immense knowledge. There's a lot of things which go through to execute a project. A lot of things go through to execute an over-dimensional cargo on the road, and there has to be some sort of experience to do that. You can just, if you want, you can hire like most experienced people from the market, but still customer आपको trust नहीं करेगा.
And no one can beat your father and grandfather who
Yes,
taught you how to do this business.
So,
They've
but
been in the industry
आज की
now.
date में if I come up with a name, say Samin Logistics, something like that, and if I spend XYZ amount of money and hire the best in the market and approach the same customers where Premier Roadlines Limited is serving, the customers won't listen to me and even try to entertain me, because they know Premier Roadlines Limited has experience. They know they have a legacy, and they can carry their expensive equipment on the road, and not Samin. So it is that way. So I believe it is a startup proof company that we are running, and it's going to stay like this.
Okay. So stating a very good economic stats. So do you know 16% the logistic cost in India is 16% of the GDP, whereas average is sometimes global average is around 8%. So government is trying to take it down through national logistic policy. So what do you think about that?
See, definitely government is trying their level best to take it down.
A lot of projects like Sagarmala,
Yes,
Sagarmala is a
Sagarmala,
mala, yeah.
Sagarmala. It's a U-shaped mala kind of a thing for connecting
Yeah.
the east, northeast, west,
Mm.
and all the entire country together. There are many projects like this. Government is trying their level best to do that, to ensure the transit time is as short as possible, to ensure that retention charges are not as high as what they are currently. They are trying their level best, but I think it's going to take some time. But talking about project logistics and over-dimensional cargo, where we have an expertise in, so I don't see the cost coming down
From
very
16 to
16
8%.
to 8% very immediately, because things are challenging.
And there are a lot
There
of
are-
layers involved.
Yes. So what happens is, once a big consignment starts moving on the road, there are many welcome boards that needs to be removed. There are many cameras that has to be removed. There are many say a foot over bridge that has to be avoided, and a bypass has to be made. So these sort of developments are happening very rapidly. And with technology coming in, the signboards are now digital. The cameras are now very frequent on highways and on state highways also now.
Why did you say that cameras have to be removed and both signs have to be
See,
removed?
we are moving 15, 16, 17
Okay.
feet height consignments.
Okay.
And from the ground, it's almost 20, 21, 22 feet. So, and a welcome board or any cameras, they're at 17 feet height. So, to move that cargo on the road, you have to remove all these obstacles. You can't move the cargo without it.
Got it.
So, that sort of course, there is our industry and our organization, the body that our industry has formed. They are regularly in touch with the Ministry of Road Transport, and Morth is extending its cooperation fully to our industry as well. But it's going to take some time, and we don't see the cost coming down drastically. Right now, it's on the upward trend. The costings are definitely going up.
Okay. Last question, very basic question. Have you faced any challenges because you move goods from one state to another? So, have you faced any challenges when it comes to interstate billing, considering the political landscape of India?
No. As of now, there are some small operational challenges which I might not be aware of, because it may be happening way down the value chain. But as of now, I don't see any considerate amount of challenges in that space, and it's sort of well organized.
Okay. I wanted to ask a question from marketing perspective. I was going through your investor presentation and I saw these trucks where Premier Roadlines was written. Since you do not own any fleet and you have vendors who provide you with the vehicle, so how do you put your brand name over it?
See, if it's a big consignment that's moving, and if a vendor has supplied the same to us, so we just put a banner or a sticker or whatever sort of marketing tools available on the truck, so that from the first hindsight, it looks like Premier Roadlines Limited is the owner and the supplier.
Good marketing.
Yes.
It's just a marketing tactic.
Yes.
Okay, so last question. People often question second generation and third generation entrepreneurs that will they be able to carry their ancestors' legacy. So, what vision do you have for Premier Roadlines? Let's say 5 years down the lane.
See, we are already at a very good space in terms of the growth we've displayed in the past 1 or 2 years. And I've been in this company officially since 2 years, but unofficially, I've been here since I was a kid. So, if you ask me going forward, definitely in terms of numbers or in terms of percentage, 30 to 35% CAGR growth for the next 4 years is not at all a big I mean, it's not that difficult for us. It's easily achievable, and we see the demand from the customers. We see that the customers are respecting that there's a second generation or third generation which has come in the business, and they also want to interact with younger generation with new ideas and with new technology. So that's coming to my favor as of now. And I believe
you have a new subsidiary to work on too.
Yes. So that's sort of in my favor, and I'm getting good response from the customers, and Premier Roadlines is getting a good response after being listed. The sort of trust and transparency that now we have, it's even better for the customer to choose us and not the others.
So thank you, Samin. Thank you taking time out of your busy schedule. Thank you.
Thank you.